Welcome back. We are at the 65th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. This is probably one of the biggest days of the entire 10-day run. Indy Sports Show Live. I'm your host, Brian Pointer, and I couldn't be happier being here, spending the time, meeting all the great people. Crowds are bigger. It's getting bigger and bigger by the minute. And all the sights and the sounds are truly what make this show so great. The Deer Turkey Waterfowl Expo is going on as the show within a show. Record crowds this year. You know, we're listening to the dogs barking. We've got people laughing and having a good time. If you really want to experience the Deer Turkey Waterfowl and the Boat Sport and Travel Show, come out and go over to the pavilion. There you got some really cool sounds going on. You hear the duck calls, you hear the turkey calls. You've got some great food and smells over there. A lot of seminars and sessions going on. There's something here for everybody. So we're going to switch gears now. We're going to do a little duck and goose calling, a little duck and goose hunting. Field Hudnall, legend in that industry. Tell us about yourself. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. No, just my entire life, ever since college, I've worked in the hunting industry. It's all I've ever wanted to do. Got into competition duck and goose calling at a very young age. And realized that I kind of had a talent for it, which was good because I played sports, I played football, but I was on the team, but I wouldn't necessarily say I played. Coach knew better than to put me in. So hunting and fishing has been my life, and it's all I've ever could seriously focus on. So,
well, in the world that we live in today, social media is big, and I know that you, as we'll get to your accomplishments, but you use YouTube for teaching.
Yes.
And obviously Instagram, you know, thousands and thousands of followers who are looking and subscribing. Is that a pain for you?
No, it's not not even close to being a pain. What I love about YouTube, social media, is it allows us to deliver information to hunters and outdoorsmen that they're seeking. So my whole thing is I got into the competition side of things years ago, but I can win all the contests that I want. That doesn't help anybody have a better hunt, call more geese in. That's truly what I love, is teaching people. And that's why I love the shows like the Indiana Deer Turkey Waterfowl Classic, is because we do a lot of one-on-one. So yes, YouTube, we launch a lot of instructional material to where people can go on and learn at their own pace, because everybody's different, everybody requires different calls. And that's one thing that we love about this show is this is our test market to find out what do we need to come up with next, what are people wanting, how are their hunts going, what can we do to make their experience better.
Well, you've led me perfectly to what I wanted to talk about next. Okay, you've got great experience, you've got a great reputation in the calling, deer, duck, turkey calling industry. How do you keep making new calls?
So,
hasn't it all been done?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. We don't come out with new calls every year. There's a lot of times people will come up, you know, old customers, and say, what do you got new? And when a lot of times we don't have anything new because we haven't found a void yet that we need to fill. So because of shows like this, I love doing one-on-one calling instruction. I don't care, I'll sit with somebody for 15, 20 minutes at the booth and work on just calling. And then that helps me identify what style of call they want, how much air pressure, the size of the call, if they're hunting water. And then when we start to see if there's a product that we can't supply because this person has a certain need, then we design the call to fill that void. Someone can come up to our booth, and I feel very confident that no matter what level of experience you have, we can design a call that is custom to you. So that's where in my opinion, that's where custom calls comes from. It's not that every call looks different, they're built different, but they're custom tuned to fit your style. It's like when you're looking for duck and goose calls, it's kind of like if you're looking for a pair of boots. You don't go into a shoe store and say, hey, I need a pair of boots. Well, do you need rubber boots? Do you need steel toe boots? Do you need loggers? Do you need hiking? What do you need? And then you lock down that style of boot, and then you find the exact size. That's where custom comes in, is we tune that call to fit your exact air pressure. So,
you know, your qualifications to do what you do are pretty legendary. You've hosted Ducks Unlimited TV 6 years.
Yes, sir.
You have a very interesting notch, if you will, in a place in history. You actually won a goose calling competition and a duck calling competition in a big way in the same day.
Yes. No, it was in 2004 in Easton, Maryland. That's where they hold the World Goose Calling Championship, and that is the pinnacle of all calling contests in the goose calling realm. And they introduced a new contest called the World Live Duck. So it's the whole point of it.
And you've won that too.
Won that one too. And the preliminaries are on Friday night. The finals are on Saturday night. And they only bring in the top 5 of each contest. You don't know who's leading. You don't know where you stand. All you know is you're competing against 5 other guys for this one title. And they roll through them pretty quick. And I won the live duck, and that was an adrenaline rush to say the least. And then to go out in the goose is what I really wanted. That was my goal. I wanted to win that contest, and to go out there and to win that one. The whole night was a blur, to be honest with you. It was. I think you can actually see a picture from when they announced the winner, and my buddy's actually holding me up because I almost passed out. Like, it was just.
You won the Super Bowl and the World Series in the same day.
Yes, sir. And it paid out pretty well too. So
it's kind of like running the Indy 500 and then flying down for the Daytona 600.
Yes, sir.
Field Proven Calls, located in Kentucky. You're right there along your favorite, the Ohio River.
The Ohio River.
Is that what you like to hunt?
I love hunting ducks and geese on big rivers. I love hunting out of boat blinds. I love big decoy sets. I will say the Ohio River is probably the most inconsistent hunting I've ever experienced. I've been very blessed to travel and hunt a lot of different states. Very inconsistent hunting. It's enough to keep my brother and I happy. My saying is we get a lot of everything, but not a lot of anything. A little bit of everything, not a lot of anything.
Yep.
Some days you go out, you don't see any birds. Some days you go out and you have a good hunt. But my brother and I live 3-4 blocks away from each other. I can see the river. Sometimes the river's almost in my yard. The river's in my brother's yard a lot. Our shop is 2 blocks away. So our shop is 300 yards from the boat ramp. So we're hunting every morning.
And that all happened by mistake, didn't it?
A little bit of planning behind that one.
Of course it is.
Sir.
So you're here at the Boat Sport and Travel Show, and you have an interesting seminar topic. What is it?
So the seminar topic is the formula to having a successful hunt every time.
Of course, right? These people want to know that.
And you show up thinking, oh, I want to hear the formula, but then once you get into it, you realize that there's a lot of moving parts in there. But the whole point of it is again, I've said I've been very blessed to travel. I've hunted in over 33 different states, and I've been very blessed to hunt with very accomplished hunters. And the one thing that I've noticed is in all these different states, I don't care if you're hunting bluebills, Canada geese, divers, mallards, whatever, there are 4 things
rules of it
are consistent.
Yep.
And if you can
Did you read my notes?
Maybe, might have. And if you can hit those 4 things, then you can you can be successful every time. All right.
Are you going to make us wait to go to your seminar? You're going to tell us the 4.
You're going to have to go to the seminar. Sorry.
Just high level, what are the 4? You're killing me.
I'll give you 1. The most important thing is hands down location. Location is number 1, and again, you can talk for an hour easily just about location. So the way the seminar works is we cover a lot of information very quickly, and we leave majority of the seminar open for question and answer, because I don't want to talk about anything that nobody really cares about. Once we get into specific questions and people feel comfortable to ask questions, that's where it gets fun. That's where you really dig into the nuts and bolts of what people are thinking and what they want to know about waterfowl hunting. That's what I love the most.
I think waterfowlers, unique to other hunting groups, try to overcomplicate this a lot. And they feel like it was the call's fault, or, there's just no birds flying anymore. It's never your fault.
It's not your fault.
So we're going to find out what the 4 important things are. Well, why do we make it so complicated? Does everybody need to have a custom call?
It gets complicated because there's a lot of, it's like anything. There's advertising everywhere. Advertisers make it complicated. When you really break it down to what it requires, it's not that complicated at all. On the calling side, all right, so I gave you the first one. I will give you the 4th one now. And Sometimes people think I'm crazy because it's how I make my living, but it's selling duck and goose calls. But I will tell you, that is the least important thing to worry about in having a successful hunt, because if I told you it wasn't, I'd be lying. But a lot of the calls out there, again, custom calls are actually easier to learn on. They're tuned to perform at a certain level, and the call is more consistent on how it responds to your air pressure. So the thing is, there's calls for all budgets. We sell calls that range everywhere from $40 to $160. You don't necessarily need the $160 call. In fact, when someone approaches our booth,
of course, you don't need one, you need 5.
That's the other thing. We're actually kind of, cut my own throat.
Close.
Is the whole point. The more advanced you are in calling, the less calls you need, because you can mechanically pull all those sounds out of that one call. If you're just learning, then yes, a call that is tuned to be deep, it's easier to operate. A call that is tuned to be higher pitched, that will give you the higher pitched sounds. Once you understand the mechanics, you can take one call that's kind of a medium range call and you can get your high pitched sounds, you can get your deep sounds. So the whole point of all the different calls is just, you want to go out there and say, all right, I want to have the ability to be as high pitched as possible, and I want to be as deep as possible. I want to have all these sounds in my arsenal. So you figure out, how do I do that? For me, it takes 2 calls, 2 goose calls. One that's tuned really deep, one that's tuned high pitched, and then I can hit everywhere in between. So when I used to go out with a bunch of calls, just one I thought it was cool. I'm like, man, I look cool with all these calls. But when you really break it down, you're going to call it a go-to call. It's a call that you're comfortable with. It's like fishing. There's that lure you have confidence in. Duck calls, when you have confidence in something, that means more than anything, and you just rely on it. And that's what we want to do, is find that call that you have confidence in.
There's a difference. I've been so fortunate in my life to be with some really good callers. Mm-hmm. It's like hunting behind a really good dog.
Right.
You could have a dog that can go retrieve a duck or a goose, but then you can have a really good hunting dog that makes your experience even.
Absolutely.
It's not even anymore about the hunting, it's watching the dog.
Right.
And I've been in the blinds with guys that can blow the calls.
Right.
And I kind of get lost in the magic. It's almost like you're singing
right
to the birds.
Yes.
And it's different. You put me in there and they're running away.
Right.
What's your favorite? What's your first call? You see birds up in the air. Give us a shot.
See, that's a tough question, because again, it comes down to the scenario. The first sound I'm going to do is basically just a deep goose, a relaxed sound, because I don't know if these birds are going to want the call. I don't know if these birds are going to require a lot of calling or no calling. So what I want to do is, I'm not going to give them everything I can right off the bat, because I can't bring it back. I've already shown them my entire hand. So what I want to do is give a little bit. If they respond, great. That's all I'm going to do. If they don't respond and I need them to do something else, then I'll continue to give them more, and then I'll increase that excitement up. But the first sound I'm going to give them is just a relaxed. That's it. If they like it, or if I get a response, then I'm going to start. That's where you're a hunter. There's not a call that's going to make you have great hunts. You still have to be a hunter. It's a tool, no different than your gun, your flag, your blind. Sometimes you use your tools, sometimes you don't.
So you don't have the neon sign that says land here?
No, I wish it was that easy. And here lately, now I will say, when I got into goose hunting in the mid-90s, I learned to call through necessity, because one, we weren't in really great locations. I didn't have great spots. One, there wasn't that many decoys available on the market, but my family, we didn't have a lot of money. So I didn't have these elaborate goose spreads. But learning to blow a call was something that didn't cost money to learn the skill set. And I remember back in the 90s, like, all you had to do, you could pull those geese from anywhere. And as long as you blew that call and you sounded good, you shot a lot of geese. You called a lot of geese that now I can go to those same spots. And if I try to do that same technique, it's not happening.
Well, the birds aren't, we've got a lot of local birds that have been called at, shot at. We don't have a lot of the migrators that we used to, in my perception, but that depends a lot on the year.
Weather patterns, yep.
Excuse me. What else do you like? Give me another. Show people your lanyard here, because I love being in a blind. What are all those?
So what these are leg bands. And The federal government, what they do, the banding process is they put a leg band on a duck or goose. Actually, every species of North American bird is banded. Everything from hummingbirds, I mean, you name it, they have a banding program for it. So in waterfowl, what the idea is once they capture the bird, they put a band on it, and then they keep records of that bird. So whenever that bird is harvested or if that band is located, you call it in, and then they have information about how old the bird was, where the band was recovered based on where the band was put on. They actually, even one thing that's really unique and a lot of people haven't seen is, so this is a toe tag. They actually put those on the goslings when they're still in the nest and they're too small to put a band on. So what they do is when they put that toe tag on, then when it comes time for the banding, they look to see how many of these they have on, and they're trying to get an idea of predation from the nest to the banding period. So the whole point is they continue to accumulate this data, and it gives them an idea of migration routes, if migration routes are shifting based on where the bird was banded.
And they look cool.
They look cool, you know.
It's kind of a trophy for a waterfowler.
Yes, so it is kind of a trophy because
I have one, by the way. You have 50.
I have not shot a banded bird in probably 4 years. The first band that I ever shot was actually I doubled on 2 geese when I was 16, and they were both banded. So right off the bat.
Oh, come on.
We actually had it on video too. A buddy of mine that I went to school with was videoing it.
I think you're lying. That's awesome.
Maybe.
That's awesome. Nobody will know.
Nobody.
So what on your lanyard here, what's your favorite go-to call?
So, like I was talking about earlier, I have 2 goose calls. One is tuned high pitch, the other one is tuned very deep.
Give me an example of what the deep sounds like.
So the deep one will be just have a really rich low. So I use that on water on really calm days when there's not a lot of wind. It doesn't have much crack to it, very deep. And then this one here is going to be higher pitched, sharper, a lot faster. I'll use that one for pulling geese at longer distances. Ah, we got a mouth caller. That's awesome. Sounds good.
Bring them over to your,
right?
booth.
This one's designed for lesser canine geese. Also works good on big geese. But no, so those are the 2 calls that
I love it, and this is what I enjoy is having someone of your expertise and sharing. And every one of those bands has a story to it.
Absolutely. I mean, some of them have pellet marks in them. Every one of them has a story. I've got the certificate, for all of them. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start hunting with a lanyard that doesn't have any on it, just for the fact that if I ever lost this, it's irreplaceable. You can't replace it.
Do you have a dog?
My brother has a dog. I learned early on that labs are a lot smarter than I am, and I wouldn't do one justice. I love hunting over good dogs, but at a young age, I got so involved in the calling side of things, the photography, the videography. There was more stuff to the hunt that I had more of an interest in versus the dog.
And you're smart. I've ruined a lot. They're great lap dogs.
Oh my gosh, they're great.
So what's the, you're walking back over to the Deer Turkey Waterfowl Expo, and they recognize you and what you've done in the duck, the goose, the turkey calling world. What's some hunting advice? What's the best piece of hunting advice that you've been given about waterfowl?
Have fun. I mean, it's not about the kill. It's not about what you shot that day. My dad got us into hunting when I was 8 years old. I feel like as you progress through your hunting career, no matter what age you get into it, you have different goals. There is a point in your life where you're hungry for those successful hunts. But then as you get older in age, you learn to appreciate, man, I enjoy a hot cup of coffee. I enjoy waking up in the morning. I enjoy being on this side of the dirt and just enjoying what the good Lord has blessed us with. And don't get me wrong, I love having good hunts. But just here's the magical part about waterfowl hunting is you can get into waterfowl hunting and everybody enjoys something different. There's guys who they wouldn't waterfowl hunt if they couldn't run a dog. Some guys are shotgunners. They just love, the shotgunning side of it. I love the calling side of it. If it wasn't for the calling, I wouldn't waterfowl hunt. I would be an elk hunter. I love turkey hunting. I love coyote hunting. Waterfowl hunting, there's so many things to enjoy in waterfowl hunting. It's unlimited.
So do you blow the turkey call as well as you do the duck and the goose?
On a friction call, not a diaphragm. I've got so many years of bad habits. So many years of habits with a goose call. My turkey calling with a diaphragm, it works for turkeys.
You probably sound like me.
You can give me 10 different diaphragm calls and I'm going to sound the same on all of them. I don't have that clean break. Like, I would love to get into turkey calling competition, but this old dog is not learning new tricks. The friction call is what I love. That's what I call 90% of my birds with, and then I'll use a diaphragm to finish the birds. But no, I do turkey. Actually, spring turkey hunting is my favorite thing to do. So
what I've learned is we got to go to a seminar to find out the other 2 keys. It's all going to be there for you. That's the beautiful thing about the Deer Turkey Waterfowl Expo. We're here at the Champions Pavilion. This is Indy Sports Show Live. I love the diversity here, all sorts of different things we're going to be bringing to you the rest of the day, today and tomorrow. Truly was one of my favorites of the day. Thank you, Field, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being on Indy Sports Show Live. I'm your host, Brian Pointer. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back real soon.